Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln, where we take a look around the Lincoln, Nebraska area and introduce you to business owners and influential people in the city. We are brought to you by Perch Merch. Perch Merch is a locally owned, custom screen printing and embroidery apparel shop that also specializes in vehicle wraps, decals, and all sorts of promotional products. If your business, school, or team is looking to expand your brand, head to perch-merch.com or call us at 402-217-5212.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I am your host, Chris Beecham, joined by my co-host, Henry Schmidt.
Hello, Chris.
Who had a successful surgery and is now back to work.
Yeah, 100%. No restrictions.
That's exciting. And then producer, DJ guy, Joe Cruz.
Hello, everyone.
So today in the Perch Merch studio, we have Dr. Dana Stubbs of Stubbs Chiropractic, located at 8380 Old Cheney. I did that all right?
Perfect.
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to come on last minute, and I know you're on your break from work, so we're just going to get right into it. So right before this, I was reading your memoir on your website.
Okay. Got to do as much research as we can. We really like to vet people, you know.
But yeah, you need to get on there and read that. If you, that was spectacular, but I'm going to let you go through your story.
Okay.
But you had me at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I'm Gen X. So
Are we talking about turtles in a half shell?
Turtle power, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us how you became a chiropractor.
Okay.
The whole story.
Okay, so we'll start high school. So I had an encouraging chemistry teacher in high school that was like, "You're good at science. I think you would make a good pharmacist." So that's sort of where I began. About halfway through undergrad, I was working in a pharmacy and just sort of realized that maybe I wasn't getting people better, or I wasn't seeing people get better. And that sort of sat with me a little funky. And then I was flipping through, well, it's all online now, so that's completely obsolete, and that's dating myself. But I was flipping through the catalog for school that lists all the prerequisites and all the requirements, and I was thumbing through the pre-pharmacy requisites and making sure I had all my I's dotted and T's crossed so I could apply to pharmacy school. And then I flipped the page, and the next page was all the pre-chiropractic requirements. And so I skimmed that and was like, I've taken all of these classes already. That's so interesting. And then I heard a voice behind me saying, "Don't you think you should use your hands for your job?" And I was like, what voice is that? I turned behind me, there was no one there. So then I realized that was probably the great beyond or something. And so I also felt very excited about that idea. And so I went and I talked to my parents about changing my major. They were not thrilled about that, and I decided if they don't like that idea, I should definitely pursue it.
Sorry, did you say changing your major while you're still in high school?
I was about a sophomore in college when I changed my major. Yeah, so I started pre-pharmacy. I did a couple years, and then I applied to pharmacy school and got put on a waiting list. And so then that's sort of made me question well, if they don't like me all the way, then maybe I should think about some other option. And then that whole story with the card catalog thing happened. So then I decided, okay, I should maybe look into the hands thing. And I guess I was born with a disability called amniotic band syndrome. Basically, as I was developing in utero, a bunch of scar tissue got wrapped around my limbs, and my hands and right leg were affected. So I had a lot of surgeries and stuff between basically birth till about age 10. So I sort of went from, let's hide behind a counter so that nobody sees your disability to let's use your disability as part of your job. So then, as a result of some of I don't know, I realized that going into a job where your disability is your way of life is sort of a little abnormal, I guess. So I decided full throttle on the chiropractic thing, but I also decided not to A, get adjusted, or B, shadow any chiropractors before I started school. And that was because I didn't want to be talked out of it by people that had 10 fingers.
So you were worried they were going to see you and say,
I thought that they would have some preconceived notions about my abilities. And so just because that had been my experience up until that point. So I just thought, okay, well, let's just skip that. Let's skip all the skepticism and just do it because, well, I've learned how to do everything in my life so far. I learned how to ride a bike. I learned how to write. I learned how to do basically every day-to-day skill that every other person has. So I was just like, you know what? Don't even let them put any doubt in your mind about it. Just go do it. The first year of chiropractic school is all science classes. So, okay, batter up. I can do those. No problem. Well, then we get into the technical things, and I'm realizing that some of the contact points that they use, I don't have that anatomy. But then I'm also realizing, since I didn't know anything about chiropractic, I didn't realize that basically most of the chiropractic techniques even exist because of some other condition that a chiropractor had. Like, as an example, one of the main techniques we use in school is something called Gonstead. And Gonstead was invented by somebody named Dr. Gonstead. He had rheumatoid arthritis. He was also a very big man. Rheumatoid arthritis limited his joint ability movement-wise, and so he used his ginormous frame and invented a whole technique for his RA stuff. So he basically created a whole technique around his own disability. So I thought, oh, well, if our main technique is somebody who had an issue and worked around it, done. I can work around basically anything else. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't face discrimination, ableism, all of that stuff. I would be lying if I said that was a 0% experience for me. But I also had some encouraging people in my corner too. So it wasn't all negative, but it wasn't all positive either.
gosh, I could just imagine like some of the hurdles that you had to
For sure. So
go over with people. But
Yeah, did you have like professors or anything that were kind of like, hey?
None of the professors. None of the professors said anything negative to me at all. Most of them were very encouraging. And I guess if any of them had any skepticism, they definitely kept it well under the surface and very professional, I suppose. Most of the weird stuff that I encountered was with peers. Some of them felt like I should have had to jump through more hurdles to prove myself. Other people gave me a few nicknames during school. And then also a lot of like, we don't think you can do it after I graduated. So once I was out in the job force looking for
Yeah, it's fine that you're in
employment.
school here, but yes.
Yeah, so and even after, so for most chiropractors, when it comes to like in the job force, you are adjusting as part of your hiring process. So I was adjusting at that time, and I think it was more a combination of maybe I felt like I needed validation from them, or maybe my confidence just wasn't completely there because I knew I was getting extra eyeballs, just because I know that comes with having a disability.
Even just being the new one on site.
Right. So it took a couple of years for me to even find employment. Like, I didn't have any trouble getting an interview, but I definitely struggled with, well, we just don't think you're the right fit. Okay. Oh, well, you need more experience. Okay. Well, the only way to gain experience is for somebody to take a chance on me, which I eventually did land. But I think in hindsight, I think that was the universe saying, hey, maybe you're better off an employer rather than an employee. And I just didn't catch that vibe at that time because I thought, well, I need more experience to...
Yeah, you're like, I just need a job right now.
Yeah, I need something that's going to sharpen my skills. I didn't think, oh, well, I should just be an entrepreneur. Like, I was like, no, let's play it safe. And
this is what everyone does.
Learn what you need to learn and then go out on your own, which works for some people. But for me, I think maybe being a unicorn of sorts, maybe being a solopreneur was more my fit, rather than trying to fit a model of a business that exists and this is what you do and this is what things look like and et cetera. It didn't leave a lot of room for outside the box people, or thinking for that matter.
So when did you start Stubbs Chiropractic then?
2017 is when I opened my office. So I graduated chiropractic school 2011. And then I worked a few different places in different states during that period. And then I opened my own office in 2017.
So you've been a business owner for about as long as you were an employee.
You know, I never thought about it like that. But yeah. I suppose that time has caught up with me.
Are you from Lincoln originally?
So I was born in Lincoln. I moved to Kearney after kindergarten. So my early life was in Lincoln, and then I moved back here in 13.
So after you said doing work outside state or other cities.
Yep, I worked
what
in
brought you back to Lincoln then?
a job opportunity
Okay.
opened up. I was in Memphis, Tennessee at the time, and at the time my grandfather was kind of ill, and I thought, well, maybe I should be a little bit closer. And so then I decided to move back, and also it was just way too hot there and humid. Like, the humidity is high here, but it's nothing like it is there.
Oh,
like,
man.
I had never sweat immediately out of a shower before in my life.
It's a good feeling.
That was new. When they told me before I moved there, I sort of asked them about the weather, and they said, it's 95 and humid here. And I was like, okay, like we do 95 and humid here in the summer times. I did not know that it doesn't cool down ever.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's 95 and humid all the time. And even at night, because the sun heats the concrete so much that even when the sun goes away, it's still so hot because the concrete is still so hot from
So then Nebraska weather doesn't sound so bad.
You know,
Not as much concrete.
I really appreciate the cool summer nights more than ever after that experience. Yeah.
No, I totally understand. So
But
what?
I will say the barbecue is real good there. So, you know.
That's true.
Fair
it's a
enough.
Which one do you want? Do you want to sweat after a shower? Or?
Okay, so you start your own practice. And you decide you're probably going to do things a little bit differently your way, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about that. What is your way?
So, like I said, I kind of had like a great beyond type of experience when I was in or shortly before I started chiropractic school. And that experience sort of showed up in a couple of other places in my life down the road. One day I was adjusting somebody, and back to the Ninja Turtle reference, if you're familiar with Dimension X.
A little bit.
Do we remember Dimension X? So Dimension X was like the portal between...
Oh, okay. Yes. Joe, you know.
Yes, there is a samurai rabbit that's from Dimension X, I believe.
Is it a rabbit?
There's a rabbit.
It's a rabbit.
Then there's also the duck that's like a pilot.
So if you remember...
Do you want to tell the story?
I don't remember a duck,
There's
but
Shredder. All right, there's Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady.
Dimension X is related to the Shredder, villainry or whatever. But basically, to me, Dimension X was sort of like these like purple lights, and there was like a hole or a portal that sort of opened. Well, I was adjusting a patient one day, and that's basically what I saw above their body. And I was like,
That's not a routine checkup.
no, that doesn't like normally happen during a visit. Usually I'm looking at the patient's body and whatever. So that kind of like took me by surprise, I guess. And now I was really, I don't know, confused, I guess, by that. And then after that little Dimension X sort of incident, I noticed that like bodies have a way of like whispering to me about what's going on in the body and not so much in the mind. So with one ear, I'm listening to what patients are saying is going on. And then with the other ear, I'm sort of listening to what their body has to say on the subject. And then sometimes I'll ask like leading questions to kind of give me more information about what that means, because a lot of times the messages that the body sends can be kind of cryptic, so I'm only kind of getting clues, and I'm sort of like trying to put the puzzle together about what the body means and if the patient kind of understands what kind of knowledge the body's dropping. So some people are open to those things, some people are not. So I kind of have to like zip it up if they're not open to that sort of stuff. Although sometimes you can like give hints or breadcrumb somebody into kind of opening up to it, but their aura will sort of let me know if they're open to that idea or not. So if somebody's not, it'll be like a winter coat, like zzz, not interested, you don't have to talk to me about any of that other stuff. I should mention that this Dimension X sort of stuff, to me, is sort of a result of, like, have you ever seen a blind dog and maybe their sense of smell is better than other dogs?
I saw a blind dog once, but I don't think it saw me.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Just ignore him.
So if you've met a dog with a disability of some kind, you kind of notice that their skills get redistributed.
They're very curious. Like, you wouldn't really know they're blind because they're
gaining information through other means, right?
Yeah.
So through touch or through smell, what have you. So I kind of have this same belief that if you have a disability in one area, it's not that you're deficient, it's that they subtracted in one area to add in another. So to me, I think the reason that I'm so sensitive in some areas is because it seems like I would be deficient in some other area. I think that was sort of the universe's way of saying, like, oh, hey, here's your gift, but, like, oh, by the way, people are going to think you don't have gifts. So wrestle with that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I'm assuming I haven't been to you, although if you got an opening in the next couple of days, I'm set. So, but people who go to you, they're not. If you're expecting you to adjust them with hard cracks and everything, that's not what's going to happen.
So there are quite a few different techniques that you can use, right? And there are two kind of like main schools of delivering an adjustment. So you can deliver with force. So that would be advantageous for somebody of like a large stature. Or you can deliver with something I like to call speed and specificity. So you can be really fast and really specific, or you can whack them and crack them, or however you want to word that. So smaller people like myself lean more towards the speed and specificity. The other thing that comes in handy for me is because my hands are so small, I can palpate areas that maybe a larger person wouldn't be able to. So I sort of use my body to my advantage rather than trying to make my body into something else. So hence no, it's not going to be what somebody might be used to, quote unquote, with chiropractic care. It's going to be probably a different experience, probably a more, we'll say, energetic experience. So I'm kind of listening to where the fixations are of the body, and rather than adjusting globally, we're going to adjust specifically. So usually that means one or two places as opposed to the whole spine or what have you.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's how I work. And it actually, I feel your way is way better.
Everybody has their preferences.
But mine's usually the most important. So I should have said, if you haven't done, because what do we call this? Your way. How would you categorize your practice?
I provide holistic, intuitive chiropractic care.
Perfect. I'm not going to repeat that, but yes.
Holistic intuitive chiropractic care.
That's a long, cumbersome word that is just a lot of fluff, mostly.
It sounds good, though.
But I would honestly rather you experience it rather than me trying to explain it, because the words are not going to do it justice. So forgive my limitations.
Got it. Because what other services would you say you offer? Like, I know it's more than just
adjustments.
Yes.
So we start with chiropractic care. So if you were a new patient coming to my office, the first thing you would do after you fill out your paperwork is I would take your vitals, and then I would take x-rays of your spine so that, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I would agree with that. Most people can tell me one or two instances where they hurt themselves, but the x-rays are going to tell the full story. So we'll start with that. Then we'll do an exam where I kind of move your body, you tell me what hurts, that sort of thing. And then if everything checks out from like a red flag standpoint, then I'll give you a relief treatment. This kind of lets everybody know this is what hurts the most, this is what moves fairly easily, this is where we need to work on the most, etc. Then the next appointment that you come in, then we go over your x-rays together. So then I can tell you what looks good, what we could work on, and then answer any other questions about that. After that, then we put together a plan of, okay, this is what we need to work on. This is how often I need to see you. This is what your insurance is going to cover. This is what they don't. This is what your schedule is going to look like going forward. On average, for most people who come in with active pain, 12 weeks is about what it takes for your body to completely heal. Now, most people feel better in about 2 to 3, but at that point, the spine's not completely stable yet, so it takes a little bit longer to make sure that you can hold the adjustment, even though you're probably out of pain at that point.
So it takes a little bit of time for it to set in.
So if you rolled your ankle, how long would it take for that to heal?
Yeah, Henry.
For me, I don't know, 2 to 6 weeks, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Oh, you're weak, man. 4 days tops. I'm good.
Okay. Well, Joe's a
4
freak of
months for me,
nature
bro.
athletically.
So for the tissues themselves to actually heal, it would take about 12 weeks total. But again, you could probably walk on it in 2 to 3
Under
weeks'
minor
time.
pain, probably.
Right.
Okay.
In 2 to 3 weeks' time. So typically, on average, most people feel better in about 2 to 3 weeks. But their problem is actually corrected a little bit further down the line. Now, it also depends on what we're correcting and how long it's been there, all that stuff. But on average, that's about how long it takes. And then after that, typically what I recommend is just monthly adjustments to make sure that you don't have an aggravation and that you continue to get what you want out of your activity. Now, some people require a little more or a little less depending on different factors, but that's, I would say, what average looks like. But are we dealing with just pain? Absolutely not. Typically what happens is somebody comes in with pain, then they start to feel better, then they start to, now we've built a rapport, so now we can talk about some of the other things that have sort of come up along the way that maybe we don't care about until we have calmed down the acute stuff.
Yeah, something else shows it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move to your oh shit moments.
Okay.
We'll start with the bad.
Okay.
I mean, you can even go back to your schooling, too. What was, an oh shit moment where you're like, oh shit, I can't do this. This isn't going to work for me.
From a career standpoint?
Uh-huh.
Okay. The first one would be when I switched from pharmacy to chiropractic. I was basically just seeing I felt like I was more of an enabler in the pharmaceutical industry than I was a healthcare provider. And now, not to say that what I mean by enabling is allowing people to continue the exact same lifestyle that brought them to requiring medication. So meaning, as an example, your maybe poor diet or lack of exercise is why you need these medications, but we're not going to work on the diet or the exercise stuff.
We're just going to keep taking
We're
meds.
just going to do a medication for your lifestyle that has brought you to this point. At that point, I felt like I was more enabling their lifestyle rather than maybe we could change some of these things and you don't need medication. Now, I understand there are times and places for medications, there are time and places for surgery and all of those things, but I just felt like from a global standpoint, we were helping people stay the same. And I felt like that wasn't cool. And then you add the magazine sort of incident with the voice behind me, and that was okay, we really are done here. So then the next time, I would say this was 2015. So does anybody remember the Pacquiao Mayweather fight?
I sure do.
Yeah, that snooze fest.
I went to gate 25 to watch it.
Where they hugged the whole time?
Waited in a long line.
Yeah, so I was going to a friend's house to watch that fight. And at the time, I was working 6 days a week. I was not getting enough rest. I was under exhaustion, but not totally aware of how exhausted my body really was. So I ended up having a seizure at that.
Oh my gosh.
At the fight party. Before the fight even started, I decided to wreck the whole scene. Basically what was happening was I was under so much stress it was fluctuating my blood sugar, and we had ordered some food or something, but we hadn't eaten yet. and I had had a beer, and I don't know if you guys know what having a beer on an empty stomach does to your blood sugar, but it's not good news.
That's Joe's breakfast, yeah.
It's not good news. So
You're talking about my dinner and lunch, too.
So I had
kidding.
a beer on an empty stomach, and that sent me into a blood sugar crash, which sent me into a seizure.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then after that, I had to like basically change everything about my stress level, my life, my just like
That's probably
every day-to-day habits.
the highest tier of oh shit moments
Yeah,
we've
that
ever
was-
had
Yeah,
on
that's
the
up there.
podcast.
That's up there.
Holy smokes.
So I had never had a seizure before, so that was not something I knew anything about or what to do or any of that. But basically what I realized was I don't, at first I thought, well, do I have a brain tumor? Do I have epileptic tendencies that I don't know about? You know,
A bigger
is there
problem.
A bunch of stuff I need
That's
to
why you don't Google that.
be concerned about. So I had to decide what path I wanted to take with my own health. And I was like, okay, do I want to go down the medical path where they do, you know, they'll do MRIs or CT scans and make sure your brain is clear, and then they'll tell you we need to do a sleep study, and then they'll tell you need to do this medication or that thing and blah, blah, blah. Do you want to go down that path? Or maybe do you want to look at what's going on in your life right now and make some choices? So the first thing I did was I cut out caffeine altogether, which was not fun because I was super stressed at that time, and caffeine was one of those things that was giving me gas. But what I didn't know was that it was also increasing my cortisol levels to an unmanageable place. I had to get rid of caffeine. After that, I got rid of alcohol. After that, I got rid of my job. And then I started my own practice as a result of,
Wow.
of all of that.
So it kind of turned into a good oh shit moment.
Oh, it was absolutely, in hindsight, great, but I wish maybe I would have seen more of the subtle signs before I got hit with, like, a Whopper, you know?
Yeah. That's, okay, so let's move to your good oh shit moment then. Like, when was the time when you're like, this is gonna work? My own business. I'm awesome.
Well, I think that is coming with me putting the book out. So not only do I talk about like what it's like to be a chiropractor and things like that, but I also had some childhood trauma that I needed to process. And as a result of writing the book, it kind of helped me get out some of.
Okay, hold on. You got a book?
Yeah, I did.
That wasn't part of the intro, Chris.
I'm
Tell
sorry.
us about the book.
Okay, so I wrote a book called Fingered, a memoir.
I don't want to ask any questions.
Okay.
I'm in on the joke.
If anyone can title a book that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had somebody not too long ago, right when I opened my practice, I had somebody tell me that I made my hand my brand.
Yeah.
So I kind of, if you're going to go in,
Just
you might
do
as
it.
well go all in.
Yeah.
So I had an abuser that I grew up with in my house, and that kind of like derailed a lot of self-confidence development and stuff like that. And so as I was working through that trauma, I was sort of like peeling back some of the layers of maybe all the things that you were told weren't true.
Yeah.
So
Where-
then I wrote a book about that, and I wrote a book about all the other things we've touched on today. So it's all in there.
Okay. Get fingered. Just wanted to say it.
The book.
Where do we find it?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
I did bring a copy.
What comes up when you? You gotta be careful here, right?
Like the suggested products have got to be something.
Search under her name first.
it's Get fingered, a memoir.
A memoir, yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you put that.
Put that next to, yep, next to your search.
Okay. Was that the good old shit?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's-
Sorry, I
That's
derailed
what
all of that.
I think she said. The book is a part of the.
Good old shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it out now?
The book is available,
Okay.
yes.
Got it.
So as a result of working through all of that trauma, the book was a product of me sort of like moving through some of the difficulties that I had as a kid. And there's obviously a lot of like the ableism stuff in there. There's some, homophobia because you can't grow up a queer kid in rural Nebraska without some of that. So there's all kinds of different little elements. It's a short read, but yeah, I would say it's a little intense. So
Got it.
Hence the
I'll
the
get
title.
it. I'll let you know what I think of it.
Do write a review on Google.
Yeah. No. Okay. Joe.
So our last little segment we like to cover in this great city of Lincoln. What are things you like to do, entertainment-wise, or restaurants you like to venture to?
I do love food. I won't lie. I do have. You guys, I'm sure you guys like pizza, right?
I certainly do.
Yeah.
I kind
Joe's
of
a fan.
like
Anything
to
but
think.
Casey's, I'm good.
I'd like to think I know where the good pizza joints are in Lincoln. I like Indian food. I like all kinds of different restaurants.
Is pizza because of the Ninja Turtles?
Oh.
Well, you're not a turtle if you're not eating
That's
pizza
right.
on the regular.
That's right.
Top 3 pizzas in Lincoln.
The Reuben pizza from Patty's Pub.
Okay.
Huh. Okay.
Is that number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
The chicken bacon ranch pizza from the Isles. I get it without the green peppers, but that's just me. I'm gonna say there's a jerk pizza.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like the flavor.
Yes, it's like a jerk barbecue pizza.
It's a real jerk that makes it, but it's pretty good.
From Vic's over on.
I have not
84th.
had Vic's, but I really want to try Vic's.
Do you remember the pan pizzas from Pizza Hut in the 90s?
But yeah,
Hell yeah.
There you go. That's what it is.
I got to go there after I filled my booklet.
After you read,
Yeah.
after you
Summer
read
reading.
After I
fingered.
fake read like 5 books.
After you read the Boxcar Children.
Yeah, basically, yes. 5 times.
Babysitter stuff.
All right. Well, yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for
Wait,
having me.
I do got one more question to follow up with.
But hold on. Joe's got one more question.
Which Ninja Turtle do you identify?
Oh,
the
I already
most
know
with?
the answer.
Okay, you tell me.
You said it was Donatello. No, Raphael.
Oh,
Chris cheated.
interesting.
I know. I read the.
I was going to guess Donatello, but
Because
I'm a
of the
Raphael
science.
myself.
Yeah. Anger issues.
I perform more like a rebel.
Don't get mad, Joe.
Well, that was my identification with Raphael, so maybe I'm projecting onto you.
See how she did that there?
Yeah, I did see that. All right, I'll just take Michelangelo and be done with it. I'll be the funny guy.
Good enough. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Toodles.